Hello and welcome to Norwalk Community College. I'm your host, Jake Timchak, and today we'll be interviewing our great college's resident fish guy, Anjay. So tell us, Anjay, what is Java moss?
Java moss is a really easy to keep vine-like aquatic plant that grows with pretty much no light or nutrients, and you can just keep it in a bucket if you wanted to.
Well, that's pretty handy for aquariums then.
Oh, very handy. Looks great.
Absolutely. Nothing handier than some hearty greens. Would you recommend anything else like Java moss that would be good for someone looking to get into fish as a hobby?
Yes, Pogostemon stellatus, narrow leaf. Really easy to keep and just explodes with a good grow light.
Interesting. So our audience is probably wondering why I'm asking you so many fishy questions. Fish, right? Let's take a closer look.
Consider for a second how much time you've spent underwater. Most of us spend our entire lives on land and don't know what life is like beneath the waves. If you're lucky, you'll get a glimpse at a Pacific reef someday. But for some of us, that's not good enough, and they strive to bring this outside world inside. This is the Fluval Spec 16-gallon freshwater planted aquarium, and it's a little slice of the jungle right in my bedroom. Upon first glance into the tank, it would appear that the primary fish life spends its time at the top of the water column, mostly out of the jungle. With 7 long-fin zebra danios schooling up there, that assumption makes sense, but between the plants, a few iridescent friends may make themselves seen. The neon tetra is a popular, easy to maintain but kind of finicky tropical fish. Pet store bought neon tetras are usually born unhealthy and have a 50% mortality rate for acclimation to a new home. But the careful aquarist that transports and acclimates a few neons patiently will be rewarded with some of the most vibrant and easiest freshwater fish to keep. While the danios like to crowd the top near the feeding port, this trio of neon tetras has no issues scavenging and sneaking what the danios miss in their feeding frenzies. And that said, the two fish species are quite playful with each other, and the small ones like to chase each other around. These 3 tetras, when they're not together, often isolate themselves between the brush in the Java moss and the Java fern. But there is one fish that both groups answer to without question. And while he is not always seen among his subjects, he is always the undisputed ruler of this tank. This is Beta King Tokugawa I, the crown-tail emperor of the ancient mana pool. With his gills flared wider than the body of the largest zebra danio, he commands the food chain in the tank, and always has first pick of the snacks that enter the feeding port. But his iron will comes with benevolence, and he enjoys plenty of time mingling with his subjects, as well as wiggly time alone, hiding among the tufts of Java moss and baby tears. You see, the Emperor has a little bit of a limited social battery, and he's not one to flare his gills and try to intimidate the other fish too much. So, when he's feeling a little socially drained, he'll just crawl down near the Anubias nana and take a little rest. And with such plant diversity, though, it's not all fish life, and this tank's planted ecosystem would begin to crumble if it wasn't for these cute little guys, the mystery snails, of which there are 20 to 30 hidden among the plants, endlessly sucking up nitrates, rotting food, algae, dead foliage, and anything that's pretty much not good for the fish. And as food gets digested and life comes and goes, so does every day come to an end. And in this tank, the nights are always enchanted. Powerful blue light helps maintain a healthy idea of day and night for the fish, somewhat simulating a more natural moonlight, and whose behavior changes greatly upon it changing. Believe it or not, fish do in fact sleep, and you can imagine they don't want bright light when it's bedtime. Blue light also allows the plants to still photosynthesize after the quote-unquote sun goes down. What's better, the ever-present planted pest, called algae, cannot make any use of blue light, and in conjunction with controlled water changes, it then becomes a powerful tool to fight the slimy menace. And naturally, it just looks really beautiful.
Whoa, pretty colors. Too bad those fish would not make much of a meal. So tell me, Anjay, why fish? What about fish excites you? Other than fish sticks, of course. But seriously, what made you get these critters?
Millions of years ago, we were but fish, Jacob.
Fascinating. That betta fish is not. Yeah, so tell me those snails. They eat the fish poop, right? Mm-hmm. Is that how the tank stays clean? Or do you have any other mystery animals hidden in that tank of yours?
Well, the snails are part of it. Yeah, absolutely. They eat up a lot of algae. There's also some Daphnia swimming around in there. And those are good because that's just kind of a natural food for the fish. And overall, there's a closed ecosystem that, yeah, if you took the snails out, it would damage it. Mm-hmm. It would take a little bit for the fauna to recover.
Huh. I wouldn't have guessed that.
Flora.
Flora, fauna.
Yeah, both of them. Really.
So why did you choose fish, of all things, to keep as a hobby?
I just really love the ocean, really love the sea, and I wanted to take some of it and bring it into my bedroom, keep it. Almost like a garden.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Maybe I'll start fish keeping as well, though it does sound like a lot of work. Is it a hassle to maintain everything?
The first couple of months, you really need to watch things closely, but because it's planted and you have live fish, they work together and you eventually get a balanced ecosystem that requires a lot less maintenance. But you do have to be vigilant for the most part. Yeah.
Fascinating. Well, that's all the time we have for today. Join us next time with more interviews with more fascinating people.